In today's readings, we come to an absolutely crucial moment in the great story of salvation. We're in the book of Ruth, which is probably a little known book in the Old Testament. And Ruth, remember, has refused to leave her mother-in-law Naomi on her own. So she leaves her family and her land and remains with her mother-in-law after her husband died to take care of her. She's in a lot of poverty, and in that day and age, people could go and glean, which means to pick up food from the edges of the fields, and as a form of charity from people who are rich farmers and landowners. So Ruth happens upon this field and she begins to glean around the edges, and it belongs to Boaz. And Boaz has heard the story of Ruth's faithfulness to Naomi, and this impresses him a lot, to the extent that he says to her she can glean as much as she wants. Why is this a crucial moment in the story of salvation? Well, Boaz falls in love with Ruth and vice versa, and they get married, and she becomes pregnant, and she has a son, and the son's name is Obed, and Obed becomes the father of Jesse, and Jesse becomes the father of David. And David, as we know, is that linchpin in that line from Adam the whole way to Jesus Christ, the Lord and Saviour. And if you look at this genealogical line, it branches off from David in two directions, from David's two sons, to Nathan and also to Solomon. Now when it goes to Nathan, that follows the line of Mary, and this was emphasized by Matthew. This is the royal line of Jesus. And when it branches from David to Solomon, Luke alluded to this. This is the universal line that brings us the whole way back to Adam. And this line eventually ends up with Joseph. So when the angel Gabriel came and visited Mary, and she said to Mary that she would conceive and she would have a son, and he would be the Son of the Most High, and that he would take the throne of his ancestor David, he was emphasizing the royal Davidic line that Jesus belonged to on Mary's side. But also through this genealogy, through possibly the legal paternity of Joseph, he also belongs to this universal line as emphasized by Luke, which goes the whole way back to the beginning of creation. So when people speak about the story of salvation, the great theodrama that God has been writing since the beginning of time, they don't know a lot of this historicity and this very intricate weaving together of a story that God has been writing, the story of salvation, from creation all the way to today, to the church, the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. And all the while, God in his omnipotence, omniscience and omnipresence has been in control of this theodrama. And today's gospel from the book of Ruth, chapter 2, was a real watershed moment, a real crossroads, literally a crossroads in the genealogy of Christ. And what greater adventure in life is there than to enter into this theodrama?